Okay, we're going to go through some of the HMI information that's available. As you can see, we have indicators for your seal bars. They'll turn green when they're at temperature. If you go into the heaters, go to layout, heaters, and if I turn gusset off, we go back to the startup screen, you'll notice it is no longer there. The indicator is missing. So that's an indicator of your gusset seal is not on. That's true for all your seals. So we'll go back into machine layout, heaters, we'll turn that back on, go back to startup, and you'll see now the red indicator is on. This seal bar switch on off turns them all on or off. These are independent. This is for the whole group. You can see the indicators on the guard, the registration, web failure. These are all indicators of the switch. I can turn the registration on. There's my registration switch. I turned it to off, and you can see the indicator says off. I turn it back on, and you can see the indicators on. Web failure switch, same thing. Web failure switch off, indicator shows it's off. This is what these bars are for. Also, these are go-to buttons. If I want to go to the conveyor, I just press this and I'm on the conveyor screen. Go back to startup, and those are go-to buttons. Now the more button is just more of those indicators. If you want to go to the vacuum, you select it, it takes you to the vacuum page. Go back to startup, go to the more button, and you can see everything is telling you what's going on. A TEA at pickoff, that's your trailing edge actuator. That's what TEA is. The trailing edge actuator is this device here. That's your trailing edge actuator. This device here is a trailing edge actuator. You can see the trailing edge right there. This actually comes forward and moves it. This is a trailing edge actuator. All of these actuators have PLS channels. So if we go back here and go into the PLS mode, you'll see there's trailing edge actuator at fill number 1. There's trailing edge actuator at fill number 2. So number 1 would be the first fill. Number 2, of course, is your second fill. Those are your trailing edge actuators. These will be the times when it advances and retracts. Advance, retract. This is your timers for your start fill on 1 and 2. There's your timers. And remember, these are all related to the 360 degrees of the main shaft. One cycle of a bag is 0 to 360 degrees. If we go to the next page, you'll see we have a pouch detect window. This is your printer run command. That's when you send a signal to the printer to say print. This is how you schedule your printer to print when the paper is not moving. Tear notch hole punch, tear notch slug blow. Your tear notch has a separate unit that blows the slug out. You have a nitrogen diver, a nitrogen flush. A nitrogen diver is a cylinder that would come down. A nitrogen flush blows through that cylinder and puts nitrogen in the bag to help keep it fresh. Some of these are standard units and some of them are not on this machine. Next page, position stop. The position stop is where the machine is going to stop at a happy position. A happy position is you'll have very little film sticking out. Your seal bars are open on the beginning of the line, and your seal bars are open at the end of the line. You do not want the seal bars stop closed. That will create what we call a meltdown. You'll melt the material. The next is your air blast. The air blast is the air that we were talking about on the other video right here that's blowing the bottom of the bag open. Next is vacuum pre-open. A vacuum pre-open is your first opener. This is your vacuum pre-open. These are the channels that tell it to turn on and turn off. So at 20 degrees of the main shaft, it's going to go on, and at 190, it's going to go off. Vacuum pre-open blowback. Now the blowback is after you shut off the vacuum. You see this is 190, this is 193 to 198. What that's doing is that's blowing air back through the vacuums to help clean it and to break the, what you might call a vacuum stick to the film. It blows that vacuum cup off of the film. You have vacuum openers 1, 2, and 3. There's all your timers. They share a blowback, so they all blow back at the same time. Your next page is your top seal hole punch. That's from 75 degrees to 110 or to 100, and that's your top seal hole punch. That's the timing for that. Of course, you do not want to punch when the film is moving. You have a pouch return check. That is the window that you're looking for this eye right here, which is checking to see if you have a bag stuck in the chain as it's going around the corner. That's what that's for. You have a trailing edge actuator, TEA, at pickoff. So at 35 degrees to 200 degrees, your trailing edge actuator at pickoff, which is this device here, is when that's going to spool, push this hardened cam follower to open this clip to let this bag out. Pickoff gripper close, pickoff gripper release, and pickoff slide. This is to close it, the gripper, this is to open it, and this is to tell the slide to move. Those are your PLS channels. Those are what make things happen on your machine related to the 0 to 360 of the main shaft.